everyone? Welcome back to another video. If you don't know who I am, that means you're new. I'm Mark. What's good with y'all? Go check out my other videos. Check them out. But first, stay on this one. This is going to be an interesting video topic. This is probably going to ruffle some feathers. And honestly, I am ready. So let's get into it. You guys read the title. You saw the thumbnail. Can a Glock clone really ever be just as good? Now, I know here in the gun community, we use the phrase just as good as, essentially as a meme, right? Just as good, you use it as a meme, all right? The whole point of it is to essentially make fun of people who honestly cheaped out on their firearms, and they want to sit here and argue that their super shitty made cheap firearms are just as good as your, honestly, you don't even have to have good, Gucci'd out guns or super expensive guns. You can have normal guns and they'll try to argue, oh, it's just as good as that too, whatever. My whole point is simply that's where the just as good phrase kind of comes from in the gun community. So while when I use the phrase just as good, I'm not using it in that sense to say that Glock clones are all shit. I'm not saying that by any standard. I'm simply saying, can they ever really be just as good as a Glock really is? So I'm going to get into it, give some reasons why or why not I believe so. All right, should be all good. So, as I said before, I'm going to give you, I'm going to give you all some reasons why or why not it may or may not be just as good. And honestly, I think this is going to piss some people off. So, for starters, what are some of the things that are generally different about Glock clones than, your standard Glock, right? So when we're talking about, stock Glock, nothing added onto it, nothing special, not even the extended base plate from Glock themselves, nothing. All right, your stock Glock, you get it right out the box. I mean, I know with the 19X, you get the extended base plate, whatever though. Beyond what I'm getting at, that's just, being picky and being extra. As I was saying before, what makes some of these clones very different than, your stock Glock will be slide cuts, extra or deeper slide serrations, maybe a different barrel, different trigger, maybe an entirely different firing group as a whole. Let me see here. There's a possibility of adding extra grip on there, or at least on the handle of the frame. You got a lot that you can do, with these Glock clones that, is very much so different than what you would get right out of the box of a Glock. And some people would try to argue that, oh yeah, that makes it better. It has, more features, cooler features on them than, a Glock comes with right out of the box. And this is where it kind of just boils down to a level of pettiness in a sense. Depending on what Glock clone you get, in the long run, and this is where it's going to ruffle some feathers, it will never be just as good. And the reason why I can say that is because how long has Glock been doing its thing for? We are at this point looking at, I believe, close to 40 years. I could be mistaken, but if I'm not mistaken, Glock came out in the 80s. So we're talking about a firearm that has essentially become the gold standard of home defense, concealed carry, a great gun that everybody compares all the new release guns to, and has been doing such a great job at it for the last 40 years. That's something that people don't ever seem to, fully click into their head. They might try to argue, oh, well, I get that, but their designs are just the same essentially as they were back then. That's why these other clones are better. You get better triggers, you get better this. Here's the truth of the matter. While, yes, you can get a Glock clone that can be phenomenal. It can be extremely reliable. You can have zero malfunctions with it. It can have the best trigger in the world. It can have, everything on it to make you feel like it's better than a Glock. But the truth of the matter is the cold, hard, reliable track record of Glocks make them essentially untouchable when you're trying to compare them to a Glock clone. And that's where people get upset and they sit here and they, honestly, it just ruffles their feathers. That's the best way to say it. I know I've been saying that a lot in this video, but that's the best way to say it. It pisses them off. It, bursts their bubble. It ruffles their feathers. However the hell you want to fucking say it, that's what it does, What I can say, and this is something I do want to stress as well. People seem to think, oh, well, he's saying that, these Glock clones, they're not going to be good. You don't want these. These are, they're going to be unreliable. They're going to be garbage. I'm not saying that at all. I mean, hell, let's take the PSA dagger as an example. One of the cheapest Glock clones you can find, if not maybe the cheapest. I've had zero malfunctions with that gun. And I've ran several separate brands of ammo through it. You guys have seen my 500 round review. If you haven't, check it out. And I do plan on doing a 1,000 round update when I get the chance, when I get the chance to take it out shooting again. Regardless, though, getting off topic, we'll take the dagger for example. While I believe the dagger has a nicer trigger, I also believe that, keep in mind, you can literally, just like with most Glock clones, or at least with most good Glock clones, you can change out the parts with your Glock and your Glock clone, and it should function just fine. Regardless of that, regardless of the fact that the dagger takes Glock magazines, regardless of any of that, it is still not a Glock. That's just the truth of the matter here. And I mean, while, as I said, it's going to piss some people off, that's just what it is, Now, does that mean that Glock clones are not good for self-defense? I'm not saying that at all. That would be absolutely stupid to say, because truth of the matter is that it is a clone of one of the best guns on the planet. That's just how it is. And understand, guys, when I am saying one of the best guns on the planet, I am strictly referring to the reliability and track record of it. The truth of the matter is, guys, that when we're talking about self-defense, I could really care less about having a super nice trigger. I could really care less about a threaded barrel unless I already have a suppressor on there with sub ammo. I really could care less about a majority of the other stuff that comes with these Glock clones, because the truth of the matter is that I know how to shoot properly. And as long as my gun will keep shooting every time I pull that trigger and it will stay reliable, that will be what I want to go for. And as long as it will stay that way, yeah. Glock clones are not bad for self-defense, though. You 100% can protect yourself more than just fine with a Glock clone. That's like, to make the argument against that would be absolutely stupid. I'm not sitting here saying that Glock clones are bad for self-defense. However, what I'm saying is, would I put them to the same level as a Glock? Would I put them to the level of actually being just as good as a Glock? Probably not. And once again, that all simply boils down to the reliability and the track record, nothing else. You guys can argue, oh, well, these accessories make it better, in my opinion. Cool, that's your opinion. This is my opinion as well. As I said, I know this is going to piss some people off, but that's the truth of the matter here, is that all these Glock clones, I've had experience with a couple, not just a dagger. I've had experience with a couple of Glock clones, and while they're great, while they're super cool, while excuse me, while some of them have some of the nicest features, some of the nicest features I have felt in a good long while when it comes to a Glock styled handgun, it's just not a Glock. So I would not pick a clone over the actual thing. You see what I mean? I think that about wraps it up for this video. As I said before, guys, Glock clones, they can be pretty damn good for self-defense. There's no arguing against that. Are they as good as a Glock? No, because they're not going to have the reliability and the track record that comes with a Glock. And why will they never have that reliability? Look, let's take the dagger, for example, real quick before I wrap it up. Let's take the dagger, for example. Let's say, PSA proves that their dagger, which is their Glock clone, is completely reliable throughout the next 20 years. No problems, no nothing. Guess what? Glock's reliability track record will also have another 20 years on it. So therefore, Glock clones will never be able to catch up to the track record that an actual Glock has, because it will keep continuing on. Now, with that being said, y'all make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, hit that bell. When you hit that bell, hit all and I don't want to pick up the camera and shake it again, but if you agree with me, while Glock clones, they can be awesome. I've seen some super dope ones. They're never going to, be just as good as a Glock is, just because of the fact that they are not a Glock. It is a Glock clone. If you agree with me, make sure to check out all my other videos. Y'all make sure to stay legal, stay safe, stay dangerous. Have a good one, y'all. Peace.